Welcome to Meganegg Gaming, and given that we had an 80s game come up the other day, so we have a combination of 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s games on the list for reviews, and the one we had from the 80s I did rate as being rather atrocious. I figured we'd hand select a similar action platformer style game. It actually has not only held up over the years, but it's actually a great game if you're studying game design. We have here Super Mario 3. This game you can still purchase on the Wii U console on the Nintendo Switch Online. I'm assuming you can probably purchase it on Steam as well as some other platforms. Either remakes of the game, re-releases, about any numerous places you can find this game. So anyways, it's rather simple, and I haven't played this game in quite some time, and given I don't have a capture card, I was also trying to play with a keyboard, which it's not. Using an emulator plus keyboard, not an ideal experience. There's probably not a whole lot of people don't already know about this game. Basically, the story, it's an acceptably weak story. I'll just quote MarioWiki.com. Peace is returned to the Mushroom Kingdom thanks to the efforts of Mario and Luigi. However, Bowser sent his 7 children, Larry, Morton, Wendy, Iggy, Roy, Lemmy, and Ludwig, to other countries of the Mushroom world. The Mushroom Kingdom forms a gateway to these lands, and the Koopalings have stolen their respective royal magic wands to the 7 kings, using them to transform the kings into various helpless creatures. Mario and Luigi vow to go and stop the Koopalings' mischief and change the kings back to their normal form. At the end of each world, Mario and Luigi fight one of the Koopalings, and after the match is over, retrieve the wand from the Koopaling to turn the king back to normal. While the brothers are out on their adventure, Bowser kidnaps Princess Toadstool and takes her to his lair in the Dark Land. The brothers go to the Dark Land and fight Bowser. After defeating Bowser, they save the princess and restore peace once again. So, we're going to ignore Super Mario Bros. 2 US release, as well as Super Mario 2 Japanese release for the time being, and focus on the differences between 1 and 3. First off, with 3, you actually have a map that you travel on. There's a lot more levels, and while they're still relatively short levels, they do get a bit more complex. You have the standard water, cave, outdoor, and desert style levels. Outdoor green and outdoor desert. You still have the mushroom and fireball, but now you also have the raccoon tail. You have a raccoon suit, you can turn yourself into a statue with a frog suit, and numerous other power-ups. And not only that, you can actually, under certain situations, you can actually save certain power-ups. So then, before you enter a level, you can actually use a mushroom or whatever item you want to use, which adds a bit more strategic value to the game. Controls just like the original, very fluid. The levels do increase, the difficulty curve is one of the better ones in any game. It starts off easy and then ramps up in difficulty. There are a lot of hidden items, or if you wanted to, you can bypass the bulk of the game and go straight from World 1 to World 8. Which, if you're watching the video, I'll show how to get one of the 2 items you need to actually do that. The music, I mean, you are limited by the NES, but it's a well done soundtrack. Well composed. Much worse examples of music for NES games. So, what else? Oh yeah, the release date. Let's go ahead and pull that up. It was released in the late 80s. I'm trying to pull that up, but the computer froze. I had that information on. It was released in 1988. And while comparing this to a PC platform at the time, which I guess a better comparison to the mediocre one from yesterday would be maybe pulling up even, I guess, Jewel of the Jungle would be a good comparison. This just shows what could be done as far as games go at the time. It's a game that's fun for people of all ages, and even people that are the top tier action platform or side-scrolling platformer players will still find entertainment in games like this, trying to do speed runs and such. I'm not sure what the fastest is at the moment for this game, but I'm sure it's way up there. I'm sure somebody could knock this game out in easily less than 20 minutes. I go back and yeah, it should be doable. So there's not really a whole lot of faults here. And you could give a kid this game now, and while they might think the game looks dated, they're going to think it looks old. The graphical style is such where it's both simple, but it's done well enough where you can tell what everything is. It still has a lot of charm. So this is an example of how an 80s game could be done. 80s platformer game could be done well, and how an example of a game that holds up over time due to quality level design, appropriate difficulty curve, a variety of ways to play the game, a lot of secrets, and a story that's good enough to make it all make sense. Even though if we were to delve into a long critical analysis of the Mario canon, and we would find many holes over the course of time, a lot of conflicting information. So some people say this is one of the best games ever made. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I would say it's one of the most important games ever made. And as far as 80s games go, it's one that's held up the best. But it's held up the best mostly just because it's an example of basic game design principles. If I were to be trying to construct people on how to design video games, I would be pulling Super Mario 1, Super Mario 3, Pong, Frogger, and a lot of games like that up to demonstrate. With on the very, very basic end, you have Pong and Frogger. And then as you increase in complexity of games like Mario 3, Mario World, they offer all the core aspects you need for a game that's both fun for people to play, as well as one that's going to stand the test of time. And if I were to just pull up a random action platformer on the NES that's not Mario. There's a lot of games that have held up, but not as well. And then there's even more, dozens upon dozens more. Probably, yeah, probably. I'm comfortable saying there are hundreds of action platformers that just haven't held up. And a lot of those games weren't even good at the time. So where do we rate this game? Well, I guess the question is this better than Anachronox? Which is a bit of a dilemma. Given this game's strengths are Anachronox's weaknesses, this game's weaknesses or Anachronox's strengths. Let's go ahead and it's definitely getting a 4 out of 5. And I'm tempted to give it a 5 out of 5, but it's just not quite to that point. Like I said, it's the fundamentals of game design with a little bit extra, but it's nothing overly impressive. It's just the basics getting nailed. But, I think I people watching this are probably going to criticize me, but really either way will deserve criticism. I think we'll put it. Yeah, we'll put it above Anachronox and put it in the second spot. Even though if I were to personally choose which game I enjoy more, I do enjoy Anachronox more, but this is arguably a better game. Yeah, we'll put it in second. So 4 out of 5. One of the most important games of all times. It still holds up. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, and we'll continue going through this massive game collection. And maybe one day I'll actually have reviews that are much, much better. And we'll have all these games sorted from 1 to probably 3,000 at that point. Anyways, like, subscribe, and have a great day.